We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
With Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, everybody. The voice is almost 100%. There's a little gravel in there. But just like I said, by Monday, and the weeks just boom, boom, fly by. Hours, days, weeks, years. Fast forward. So I want to make a few things pretty clear out of the gates here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not sitting here telling you what works and what does not. I know there's a whole bunch of rules and regulations on the YouTube, especially regarding medical claims. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a journey, a pretty, I'd say elaborate journey of where I came across this information, because this isn't really new. The headline is new, and the idea that the FDA is approving a $12,000 cancer treatment that uses sound waves to disintegrate tumors as a painless alternative to radiation and chemotherapy. All right. Histotripsy, and I'm probably butchering it, but we got plenty of videos that are going to be talking about it, is that technique. And here's the deal. I've got videos from years and years and years ago. In fact, just to show people, give them an example of this kind of stuff. TEDx has had talks. That's what, 9 years ago. We're actually going to show you this one right here because it is Michigan Engineering and the subsidiary group that is out of Minneapolis all these years later. This 11 years ago, founded in 2009. That's gotten the FDA approval. Okay. I'm going to show you a more new BBC piece on this from about 10 months ago. But as you can see here, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, this is detecting them. This has been around for a very, very, very long time. And in fact, the one video that I wanted to show you, I could not find, but I'm assuring you it exists. And I'm sure somebody in the Bermas Brigade, maybe we can play it tomorrow, will DM me a link to the video. Very hard to find a lot of this stuff these days. You know that. Of what is supposedly sound waves destroying cancer cells like. I mean, we're talking decade upon decade upon decade ago. And it's showing you an X-ray version of it in real time as it happens. Okay, now I'm just saying that's what it purports to be. So, where did I find out about this? all the way back in my InfoWars days, I covered a guy named John Kanzius. And it starts with a K, and it's got a Z in there. And a lot of people have never heard this guy's name before, but he was actually a broadcast guy and a tinkerer and somebody who got cancer and messed with different radio frequency devices. Now, Dennis Bushnell of NASA, the chief scientist, we've played dozens and dozens and dozens of times here, talks about the human body being wet electronics. And we are in an electronic universe, right? There's literally electricity all around us and different types of waves, magnetic and otherwise. And for a long time, people have known that these interactions with human beings, have outcomes, cause things, right? Can be, in fact, harnessed in certain ways. And the piece that I originally saw doesn't even start out talking about cancer. Instead, it starts out by talking about salt water as fuel. Let me repeat that. Salt water as fuel. So John, who passed away, I believe it was in 2009, there was tons of legal battles surrounding this. In fact, that was another thing that I had up there. Maybe we should do that live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
There we go. So yeah, here it is right here. See, this is why we do it live. So Kansas cancer research delayed indefinitely amid legal fights. That was back in 2017, right? It took till 2015 for its first human trial. Now, the piece I'm going to show you is like 2007, 2008, maybe 2009 at the latest. And this is just the startup piece, because after that, we're going to show you how it developed into medical institutes. And really, now we have Joe Poopy Pants Biden out there telling you that we're going to cure cancer via Cancer Moonshot, the program. In fact, he's already mumbled that we've cured cancer. I'm not saying that. YouTube, I'm just reporting. These are things that have actually happened. Cancer Moonshot is real. It is essentially bioengineering, aka transhumanism. We're going to get into that. And Joe Biden doesn't run anything, and he mumbles like a madman. So let's kick it off with this old school news piece that discusses salt water as fuel via John Kanzius and his invention.
Instead of paying almost $4 for gas, how would you like to run your car on salt water? Now, it may sound crazy, but wait until you see what a local inventor has come up with that could change the world. And as Channel 3's Michael Mara shows us, that's not all he's trying to do.
We need to get it to around 100 degrees.
Retired TV station owner and broadcast engineer John Kanzius was not looking for an answer to the energy crisis. He was looking for a way to cure cancer. 4 years ago, inspiration struck in the middle of the night. Why not use radio waves to kill the cancer cells?
And the best thing that would work as antennas was I could find at 3 o'clock in the morning was my wife's pie pants.
His wife Marianne heard the noise and found her husband inventing a radio frequency generator using her pie pans.
I got up immediately and thought he'd lost it.
Here are the basics of John's idea. Radio waves will heat certain metals like gold. Tiny bits of that metal are injected into a cancer patient. Those nanoparticles are attracted to the abnormalities of the cancer cell and ignore the healthy cells.
Now, this is bio-nanotech back then. This is bio-nanotech back then. It was openly being discussed. And by the way, it will be discussed in the next piece that's a follow-up to this one.
The patient is then exposed to radio waves, and only the bad cells heat up and die. Killing cancer cells is amazing, but John had also stumbled on yet another amazing breakthrough.
You have enough in there?
His machine could actually burn salt water. John Kanzius discovered that his radio frequency generator could release the oxygen and hydrogen from salt water and create an incredibly intense flame.
Just like that. If that was inside a car cylinder, you could see the amount of fire that would be in the cylinder. I can put my hand in here.
Put your hand into the beam, nothing happens. Put in a fluorescent bulb and it lights up immediately. At the APV Company Laboratory in Akron, top engineers have checked out John's amazing invention, and they were amazed.
And we saw it go up to 1,500 degrees centigrade, the temperature. And it's incredible.
I mean, look at the guy. It's incredible. This is a guy that barely anybody knows about. Again, an entrepreneur, owner of a radio station broadcast company, an engineer, an inventor, and somebody that's blowing the lid off of tapping into the invisible universe around us. Okay? We see a very small spectrum of reality. And we can tap into all of this around us. And it seems like John was figuring out how to do that.
This simple Stirling engine is running with the heat generated by the flames coming off that test tube. The fuel, nothing more than salt water.
Oh, that could be a steam engine, a steam turbine. Could be a car engine if you wanted it to be.
That's the true American innovator. Someone that is not looking for something, he just finds it.
This is the most abundant element in the world, water. And salt water is everywhere. And to see it burn actually gives me chills.
So imagine the possibilities. Salt water as the ultimate clean fuel, a happy byproduct of one man searching for a cure for cancer. In Erie, Pennsylvania, Mike O'Mara, Channel 3 News.
So, that kind of brings us to what's going on with this therapy and this being rolled out. You know, I question how effective this is going to even be allowed to be. $12,000 is really nothing when you consider what other cancer treatments actually cost. Pretty ridiculous. So I want to read the article, and then we'll take a break. We'll come back, and then we'll show you a more modern piece, like the beginnings of this in action. Eventually, we'll get to the BBC piece. It's Wednesday. So the second hour is going to be exclusively over at rvmrumble.com. And since, again, I make these thumbs the night before. I figure out what I'm going to talk about. When I saw this FDA story, I said, this is actually something I can do a kind of historical deep dive on. And I thought, well, what's a good accompaniment? So I was thinking about it, and for some reason, G. Edward Griffin was in my head. And so I did a great interview with G. Edward Griffin over at InfoWars, really 2008 style, 15 years ago. That's in there. But then on top of it, I recorded G. Edward Griffin. I don't know, has to be closer to 15 years ago than 10 years ago. But maybe 10 years ago, could be as far, maybe back in 2013. And, I edited some video in there as well, but basically it's him breaking down roundtable groups and the origins of compartmentalization and control. And it's classic G. Edward. So I think we're going to end the show like 51 minutes into the first hour in order to get to all of that. But that's going to be at rvmrumble.com. All right. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share, everybody. By the way, every day we lose subscribers on YouTube. There is not only no growth and no reach on YouTube, it's over. It's over. Geez, what is he doing? Yeah, I understand that. I totally understand that. Jesus. Anyway, a promising cancer treatment that blasts tumors using sound waves has been approved in the U.S. A machine that uses histotripsy, a technique that uses sound waves to break down tumors, has been approved to treat liver tumors by the U.S. and Food Administration. And by the way, no fan of the FDA. It uses targeted sound waves like an ultrasound machine to form micro bubbles within the tumor. Here's a great graph. Robotic arm placement over the abdomen, like a traditional ultrasound device. Lock onto the target. Right, sound waves are emitted, cause micro bubbles to form within the tumor. Minneapolis-based Histosonics, a University of Michigan spin-off company, founded in 2009, pioneered the treatment. Histosonics can now sell its histotripsy delivery platform named Edison to hospitals and doctors to use in patients. It costs $12,500 per procedure. You know, and the thing is, if we're really about, we care so much about people and human beings, something like this, if it works, should be mass produced, and it shouldn't even cost $12,000, should it? Right? We got all the money in the world for bombs. We got all the money in the world for communication satellites and rockets to the moon. But cancer moonshot, still going to cost you $12,500. Still going to cost you $12,500. And it's almost setting up this Elysium type society where eventually they believe they can tap into the type of microbiology that essentially gives them biological immortality and devices that are much more advanced than this that just kill anything that would harm you. We're going to talk about that on the other side. We're going to play more Kanzius after this. It is Reality Rants with Jason Bermas. And now a word from our sponsor.
Attention Americans, breaking news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. Take action now. The Federal Reserve phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard. Your hard-earned assets are in jeopardy. But there's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Reach out to American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Visit protectfrombiden.com. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Be smart. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Visit protectfrombiden.com to get your free guide and get started. Again, that's protectfrombiden.com.
So let's get back to it. The procedure is performed under general anesthesia and is done alongside a live ultrasound of the liver to enable the radiologist to locate and blast the tumor. A bedside machine with a robotic arm is moved into position over the patient's abdomen like a traditional ultrasound device, and a doctor locks it above the target tumor. The rest of the procedure is fully automated. Attached to the end of a robotic arm is a transducer, a device that converts electrical energy into ultrasound energy. The machine software then calculates how much energy is needed to create a powerful enough bubble cloud to kill the tumor, with focused ultrasound waves converging at a focal point in its center. Once the debris of the tumor has been liquefied, it will be naturally absorbed into the body before it is passed out as waste. The debris created becomes scar tissue. Although it's considered a safe treatment, there is a small risk nearby blood vessels, or in the case of liver cancer, bile ducts could be damaged by the heat. Well, I mean, we know, how adverse things like chemo can be. The duration of the procedure depends on the number and size of tumors, but it can take as little as 7 minutes. A human trial is currently underway, and a previous animal study have shown promising results. Now, again, some of these things I'm not even sure that these are the same exact technologies. But look at this. Delayed indefinitely for legal fights. Indefinitely for legal fights. Why? Why is that? Could somebody tell me? Just weird. Okay, because we're so concerned about people's safety and their health. We're so concerned about that. In fact, I have this piece on the upcoming pandemic treaty they're trying to ram down our throats that isn't being talked about enough. We'll try to get to that today in the first hour, where it just lays out how all this is just the United Nations agenda to normalize things like euthanasia, right? Because part of the pandemic treaty is the global right to abortion. Now, again, whatever your views on abortion, that's you. If you don't understand that's about population control globally, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't understand that's about the United Nations superseding any kind of nation state's constitution, okay, for euthanasia, I don't know what to tell you, because that's exactly what it is. All right, I want to come on back. I want to play this piece on the John Kanzius machine years after the original piece on the Saltwater. Okay? So let's do that right now.
The MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston is 9 million square feet and serves 70,000 patients each year. But deep in the basement of the largest cancer center in the world, our focus is on one man working in a small space.
Every time we ask a question, we find the answer, but it immediately asks 3 or 4 new questions.
This is where we find Dr. Steve Curley. Dr. Curley has spent 18 years at MD Anderson, and his lab has some very expensive tools. There's the $1 million microscope, one of only 2 of its kind in the world. While a microscope might be a lab fixture, this is not.
I should say you have the RF machines here.
Correct. This is John Kanzius's device.
It's a radio frequency machine invented by Florida's John Kanzius. Skeptical when he saw the first prototypes.
It was pretty rudimentary looking, and I kind of looked at it, and my first thought is, boy, I hope this thing doesn't explode or blow up.
There are now 2 of them in Dr. Curley's lab.
Kick-ass cancer cell generator.
We've followed John Kanzius' story now for years, traveling to his home on Sanibel, where he spent hours tinkering in his garage. The former broadcast executive was fighting his own battle with leukemia. Watching children undergoing chemotherapy, he knew there had to be a better way.
To see young people, young families, particularly young children, walk in with smiles, and then you'd see these people 3 or 4 weeks later, and their smiles had disappeared, along with their hair and everything else, and I just said to myself, we're in a barbaric type of medicine.
Using his background in radio and physics, this is Kanzius' solution.
The genius of it is it allows us to create a very potent and a very powerful radio frequency field, and we know that from our own work that when we put these nanoparticles into cancer cells that we can then put in the field in dishes, that we're able to kill the cells with the radio frequency energy.
A nanoparticle is smaller than the DNA in a single cell. There are millions of them in this test tube. It is the $1 million microscope that allows Dr. Curley to see them up close. The science here involves figuring out what type of molecule can be attached to these nanoparticles so they stick to the cancer cells. When Kanzius's radio frequency machine is turned on, the cancer cells act like antennae and are killed by the heat generated by the machine.
Now, what I want people to understand here, outside of the cancer stuff, is how bio-nanotechnology interacts with radio frequency waves. Okay? And we are surrounded by different types of radio frequency waves every single day of our lives. Whether it be from our phone via LTE and 5G, or our routers at a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz wavelength, ACGNB bandwidth, right? Whether it be regular radio waves that provide you sound in your car, or satellites that provide you I could keep going. We're surrounded by them, And they can interact with bio-nanotechnology. We knew this decades ago. I've shown you white papers on this from all sorts of different government agencies. And right here, the technology by, a private individual is being utilized to try to empower humanity. Not by virtue signaling, not by forcing you to do something, right? But it's the acknowledgement that this exists, that this even exists, is something that people don't even want to talk about.
Neighboring healthy cells are left intact.
A number of people have really been amazed by the results that we've had so far and have found this to be a really promising treatment.
Now, the use of radio waves to treat cancer isn't new. A decade ago, Dr. Curley was at the forefront of radiofrequency ablation, a cancer treatment still used today.
It involves putting a needle into tumors and then passing an electrical current that's a radiofrequency electrical current across the needle, and that produces heat within the tumor.
Two advantages of the Kanzius device. One, there would be no radiation. Two, the treatment would be non-invasive.
This has the potential to treat cancers at multiple sites in the body, and in fact we are starting to look at some cancer cell lines from tumors that are different than what I've usually used. For example, things like skin cancers, lung cancers, breast cancers, those sorts of things.
We may know in the next few months, weeks, or even days if the research being done here represents the next huge step in finding a...
No, and nope, and nope, and a whole lot of nope. That piece from 11 years ago. We're not even quite done with it, but 11 years ago. We may know in days. So I just want to also emphasize something. Look at the red tape surrounding something like this, a non-invasive treatment that could literally change the game for tens, if not hundreds of millions of people globally. Okay? Something that touches and affects everybody on the planet at this point. And instead, you fast track a whole lot of hate and lies. Boopity-boop. Boopity-boop. You fast track it. And you fast track that bio-nanotech. Because they love you. Because you're loved. Because we're loved by those in charge.
cure for cancer.
In fact, just after our trip, Dr. Curley's research was published online. Rabbits with liver tumors were injected with a nanoparticle solution and placed in the radiofrequency machine. The result? The tumors were gone.
The treatment was less than 2 minutes.
And Kanzius feels that we're now on the brink of something monumental.
It will either be a cure or it will be one that you can manage because there are no side effects, no collateral damage to the surrounding tissue. You could take this treatment every year if you needed to.
And 1,000 miles away from John Kanzius's garage, the energy coming from this basement lab in Houston isn't just from his machine.
Could this be a potential cure for cancer?
I'm always loath to throw out what I call the C word. People think the C word is cancer. For those of us in cancer treatment, it's cure. We do believe that we're onto something that's important here. We do, at the very least, believe that it is going to be an important addition to the tools we use to treat patients with cancer. And hopefully we'll be able to take it even farther than that.
Hopefully we'll be able to take it even farther than that. Now, again, this latest approval involves a company that comes out of, it's Minneapolis-based Histosonics, but where is it? Down here, 2009. Yeah, it's the University of Michigan spinoff company founded in 2009 that pioneered the treatment. So let's see where we're at right over here. Right over, yeah. Maybe we'll save that for the next segment. We will. Instead, what I'm going to do is I had some stuff on human brain interfaces that was originally what I was going to lead the show in, because you have all this investment in BCI's, brain computer interfaces. But you know, a really good segue into this is that these things are being developed outside of just implantables. And as we just talked about with bio-nanotech, people like Kurzweil, maybe we should do that live. Kurzweil, Nanoparticles VR. So basically, future in nanotechnology and virtual reality, that comes up. But Kurzweil says that eventually we're just going to have these things in. Well, nanobots will, this is 2015. Okay? They will plug into our brains and into the web by the 2030s. Understand? This is the guy that's the head of Google's immortality division. Nanobots will plug our brains into the web by the 2030s. This is what they call non-invasive. Now, they don't even really need the nanoparticles. Oh, see, this is all just human brain interface stuff, right? WeMe Hologram Cloud Inc., a leading global hologram augmented reality technology provider, announced that it developed multi-model EEG-based hybrid BCI system with visual serve module, which combines SSVEP, and I'm not even sure what that is, to be very honest. We'll look that up live right now. That is EEG response evoked by visual stimulation that are presented at a specific frequency. So again, invisible frequency waves interact with your brain. You don't need a brain chip. You don't need a brain chip. And it doesn't even, they want to hardwire into you. That's the goal. The more they can hardwire into you, the better. And right now, they're trying to convince you even the soft-spoken stuff is the real deal and good for business. Meanwhile, the bio-nanotech that might empower humanity is being withheld from us. That's the reality. I'm going to play an ad. We're going to come back. We're going to play the University of Michigan clip on this histotripsy technology. Second hour, rvmrumble.com. Support the broadcast at redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. And we'll be back after this word from our sponsor.
When I invented MyPillow, my passion was to help each and every one of you. And 20 years later, all of your support is what keeps us going. Because of you, we've been able to create thousands of USA jobs and help millions get the best sleep ever. To thank you, my employees and I are bringing you a limited edition MyPillow. The Giza Elegance MyPillow is made with my patented adjustable fill, the most amazing cotton, and a 2-inch pipe gusset. It has 4 custom loft levels, machine washable and dryable, and you get my 60-day money-back guarantee and 10-year warranty.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your limited edition 20th anniversary MyPillow queen size. Retails for $69.98, now only $19.98. That's right, get a queen size MyPillow for only $19.98.
From all of us here at MyPillow,
thanks America! So, we're talking about human brain interfaces via what is essentially frequency technology. Okay, steady state visually evoked potential through EEG response. This is neurology and neuroscience research that uses signals that are natural responses to visual stimulation at specific frequencies. Okay? And so now I want to take you back. Again, we'll fast track the bibbity, bobbity, biggity, boobity. Fast track that bio-nanotech. But this has all been slow walked and struggle bussing. It's weird. It's weird. And then you have like the other odd tie-in that it's not just biomedical, but think about how much fossil fuels are demonized and what kind of emissions you'd get with, I don't know, salt water instead. And the old joke is the humidity would be awful. Just saying. So let's play this clip on histotripsy and basically where this company that just got FDA approval came out of.
What we've done in our laboratory here, which we call the histotripsy laboratory, is to develop a new surgical modality which is non-invasive, and it has real-time image guidance in the form of ultrasound imaging. The modality itself is a knifeless surgical approach, which the idea here is to generate some very energetic microbubbles ultrasonically. The generation of these bubbles is called cavitation. And these bubbles oscillate very rapidly and create a lot of mechanical stress on all the tissues and cells around it, and essentially mechanically fractionate these cells, so that at the end of the treatment, if you look even under electron microscope, you don't see any recognizable tissue fragments. So basically what we do is generate what you might call micro or nano blenders. We can generate these in a very confined, precise volume. That ultrasonic focus acts like essentially a scalpel.
I mean, take a look at that. Obviously, because it's out of Michigan, they're using the M, but that just shows you how precise these fields can be created.
The range of application for this technology is any place where we want to remove tissue at a tissue fluid interface. We can actually either remove the tissue or drill a very precise hole through the tissue. One of the applications that we've been developing is to treat newborn infants who don't have a left ventricle. These infants only survive if you can create a flow channel in the septum between the left and right atria. The way that people do that now is to thread a very small catheter up into the heart and then essentially punch a hole in this atrial septum. And this is a very dangerous procedure with about 50% mortality. And so we've developed an approach where these newborn infants, we actually generate a hole in the atrial septum. We've done over 100 dogs and innumerable piglets, and so we're now in the development of this technology where we want to take it into the clinic so that the pediatric surgeons can employ it. Another application.
I mean, think about that too. Think about all the animal trials they're doing with something like that. With something like that, which they're having success with, but the alternative is still a 50% mortality on children, on babies. What are the priorities here? I mean, they're pretty in your face, right?
Where we've founded a company called Histosonics is the treatment of enlarged prostate, BPH. And in this application, we actually go in and homogenize the tissue around the urethra, and this homogenized tissue is actually urinated out by the patient. The whole thing is non-invasive. The alternative technology is called TURP, where a rotating blade is actually inserted.
So, when we're talking about this stuff, we're talking about FDA approval of histotripsy for treating cancer. And then we're talking about bio-nanotech interacting with frequencies. And then we're talking about the precision of it and the applications outside of just cancer and the alternatives. Large mortality rates. And then when we're talking about something as sensitive as the prostate, gentlemen? And you think about what he just said. Like a sharp drilled yay. Yeah, yay. You know, give me the radio frequency every single day of the week, everyone.
Which, as you know, if you think about it, that's a procedure that no one relishes, and it's also rather bloody. And at least in the animal models that we've used, there's minimal bleeding, and we get very good results. There are many other applications. For example, breast cancer is one that we'll be developing fairly soon. Also, uterine fibroids, which is a big problem in women's health. And we're even working on ways of treating liver metastases.
So, again, that's from 9 years ago. That one might even be 11 too. But right around the decade. So let's fast forward. And now the BBC covered histotripsy and this ultrasound technology a little less than a year ago. Now, once again, when you see that it's now gotten FDA approval in the States, should be cover stories everywhere. Cover story. It's not. It's not. Right? Like, why aren't we fast tracking this? You know, is this going to be in the cancer moonshot program, which is really a guise, in my opinion, for bio-nanotech and transhumanism? That if we look at historically, how much will it help humanity? It's a good question. It's one that a lot of people aren't asking. I think most people kind of know my position on that. So let's go to the BBC piece.
Peter is a Guinness World Record holding skateboarder, but he had to retire from competing when he was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer 3 years ago. It can affect cells in several organs of the body, including the liver.
Turns your life into a roller coaster. Just absolutely terrifying. You know, you don't know how long you've got whatsoever.
Peter's liver tumours are so small and widespread, they can't be removed through surgery. He had several rounds of radiation therapy and chemotherapy, but these took a heavy toll on him.
Fatigue and energy levels were really heavily hit. I had my review and they basically say I wasn't responding to the chemo.
But then Peter was offered the chance to undergo a new cancer treatment at St James's Hospital in Leeds. Histotripsy is a type of focused ultrasound which destroys tissue inside the body completely non-invasively. It's much more precise than treatments which use heat or radiation, meaning it could better treat tumours which are small and widespread in vital organs like the liver. US-based tech company Histosonics is running the most advanced histotripsy trial to date.
They're nanometer size microbubbles that naturally exist within tissue. And when we hit a focus point with our ultrasound, it excites those bubbles. And those bubbles expand and collapse and they mechanically destroy tissue. Patients will awake from their procedure and generally, most times, not know that they were ever treated.
No, I want to just stop it right there. Generally, most times, won't know that they were even treated. Can you say that about people that you know that have underwent chemotherapy? Is that even ballpark?
The team's going to be using standard ultrasound to identify where in Peter's body the tumour is. Then they're going to be using this robotic arm to deliver a much stronger therapeutic type of ultrasound to destroy it. Histosonics technology is focused on the liver because tumours there are notoriously hard to treat and survival rates are low. The hope is histotripsy will give inoperable patients like Peter better treatment options.
It just sounded amazing, really. At the time, my alternative was basically to go to a stronger, heavier chemo, and I was hoping not to have to do that. It's, quite an opportunity.
Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust is one of 16 centres in the US and Europe taking part in the Global Hope for Liver trial. Its aim is to find out how safe and effective the treatment is. Just 46 people worldwide have received the procedure so far.
46 people worldwide. This is 10 months ago. Again, they slow walk this stuff. Think how many people have cancer. And think about the financial gravy train that industry has been, not only for hospitals, but hospice and those companies making what? The gear, right? All that stuff. I mean, it's a big, big, big shake your money maker. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that or acknowledge it. 46 people got this treatment. What's the worst case scenario? It doesn't work and they barely know they even had a procedure? Is that the worst case?
Including Peter.
We are about to start the treatment here.
Professor Tse Min Hua is overseeing his treatment.
This is our ultrasonic wave, and in the middle, next to the cross, you can see the bubble. That's the focal point of the treatment. You can just hear the sound of the bubble count.
And so can you see bits of the tumour being destroyed right now?
You can see that it's, the focal point is destroying the tumour, and as you can see the bright area here.
Early studies have shown histotripsy can also kickstart an immune response that enables the body to fight cancer on its own. This is what tumour cells in rodents looked like before histotripsy. But look at them after. The changing colour shows the immune system has been stimulated to destroy tumour cells. The Hope for Liver trial is investigating how and why histotripsy triggers this response, and how reliably it can be seen in humans. 2 out of 8 patients in a small initial study had this effect.
That's, what I'm really hoping for is that you get the immune response and it starts to clear up all the disease in the liver.
Cancer experts say histotripsy could be a significant breakthrough.
It would be potentially game-changing for a lot of cancer patients. You don't need an invasive procedure and you don't need the toxic drugs that we might use as standard chemotherapy. So you could have an example where you use histotripsy to stimulate the immune system, then you come in with the immune activating drugs and they might be able to then finish off the tumour.
But there are some concerns.
It may release bits of cancer in the process of breaking it up, and obviously the big concern there is that if you release cancer cells around the body, then you might end up with spread of the cancer to other places. I've not seen any evidence that that's happening, but it's something we, and I'm sure the trial will be watching out very carefully for.
So far, even in animal trials, that isn't the case. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be wary, but concerns like that, when you're already having at least a 25% human success rate, I mean, again, what's the worst that happens? If you're not seeing any evidence of that, why isn't this being fast-tracked? We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back for the final segment of the first hour. Second hour, Living at Wednesdays on RVMRumble.com. Taking it back in time with G. Edward Griffin in that second hour. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be back after this.
We interrupt today's programming to bring unfortunate news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. So take action now. The Federal Reserve's phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard and put your hard-earned assets in jeopardy. But here's the good news. There's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Speak to someone at American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Dial 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Call 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. Act swiftly, 833-287-2465.
Final segment of the first hour of Reality Rants. I'm feeling good today, guys. Again, a little scratchy in the voice, but not too over the top. Couple pieces I want to play here really quickly because this is going to be a truncated segment, if you will. First, I want to play Harari talking about immortality and how that's the new thing. Okay? And again, you can't make this stuff up because that's the new thing. So immortality is the new thing for Silicon Valley and the gang. But then the United Nations with this pandemic treaty wants abortions. Huh? So what kind of... Who gets to enjoy life? I'm just saying. Here we go. Here's some Harari for you.
You say that the latest human quest is immortality and divinity. We're all trying to be superhumans. Is that actually happening?
Yes, in places like Silicon Valley, equality is out, but immortality is in. Everybody's talking about immortality. Google has just established 2 or 3 years ago a sub-company called Calico, whose stated aim is to solve the problem of death. We've solved search, now we'll solve death. And they are not the only ones. And basically they are saying death is not some metaphysical phenomenon. We don't have to wait for the second coming of Christ in order to solve it. A couple of geeks in a laboratory can do it.
Are they doing it?
Yeah, they are investing billions in that. Not only them, but all over the world. Basically, there are 3 ways. You can use biological engineering to change the human body, to speed up natural selection. You can use cyborg engineering, which is combining organic with inorganic parts. And you can create completely inorganic life forms. It will be not only the greatest revolution in history, it will be the greatest revolution in biology ever.
Will we still be human?
Not in the sense that we understand humanity today.
So no, they want a post-human world, not just a transhuman one, a post-human one, and that's apparent with things like this.
The United Nations took a major step today in adopting a declaration covering pandemic preparedness and response. Part of that resolution includes language promoting abortion as an essential service. It opens the door for abortion on demand worldwide and has caught the attention of pro-life lawmakers. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us now with more. Eric.
Good evening, Tracy. This United Nations initiative, known as the Pandemic Accord, has been in the works for several years. Now, the goal is for UN member nations to better prepare for future pandemics, but critics say it also includes language promoting abortion access around the globe. The World Health Organization, which receives $600 million U.S. tax dollars per year, is collaborating with the UN to make this happen.
From the beginning of the COVID pandemic, UN officials called on governments to liberalize their abortion laws, to preserve abortion access during the pandemic, including making abortion an essential service.
And really, that's just the beginning of the whole thing, because if you look at the UN and what they're promoting and the World Health Organization, what is it? It's the metaverse, it's global governance, it's the idea that your child has the right to choose a gender and you're not going to stop them. This is the global model. And at the end of it is a transhumanist, post-human future. I hope that somehow, some way, we find a way as humanity to empower ourselves with the type of technology that we saw today, this histotripsy, but I fear that the vast majority of that will be saved for what? The predator class as they prey on us. Guys, we're going to hit one more ad. Cutting it off on the first hour. Second hour, RVMRumble.com. Archived G. Edward Griffin, one of the godfathers of the truth movement. So let's go to this ad. And remember, RVMRumble.com.
If you're like me and you want to be prepared for the unexpected,
that's where the wellness company's emergency medical kit comes
over
in.
40% of Americans say that they would avoid a doctor or a hospital unless it was a catastrophic situation.
Medical emergency kits with...
The kit contains 8 potentially life-saving medications for you to keep on hand in the event of natural disasters, supply chain shortages, medical emergencies, or like an apocalyptic situation. These are the actual medications that you would need in the event of certain situations. So they've got emergency antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics,